Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Loan Officer Experience podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who's made serious waves in our industry, Kenny Phillips with EPM. And today, we're going to be diving into what it really takes to lead through change, to challenge the old school of thinking, and to build culture that empowers people instead of trapping them into corporate boxes. And I'm going to tell you, Kenny's one of those guys that's got a tremendous amount of leadership. He's got a lot of knowledge and information to share, and just really speaks truth and transparency to move the broker community forward in a powerful way. And without further ado, I can't say enough amazing things about my man, Kenny Phillips. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
man.
it's gonna be a good one. Like I said, we share the same name, so this should be pretty fun and easy.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I've got a question. I'm gonna jump right in. For those that might not know your background, walk us through your journey. How'd you get started in the mortgage business, and what led you to EPM?
Started back in the early 2000 in wholesales back at a company called New Century. Prior to that, I was with Norwest Financial, which is a consumer finance division, and we kind of sold small loans up to like $2,500, convincing borrowers to transition from a 0% interest finance with a little extra cash into a permanent fixed loan. So a lot of fun there. And then some of my friends actually transitioned over to the mortgage world. I seen that they were making probably what I was making in 2 months. What they were making in 2 months, I was making in a year. So got excited about that. So I went to work with Martin Warren at New Century. He was a leader over there, stayed there, had some success. Then we moved on to a small company. Well, not a small company, a company called Equifirst out of North Carolina with Jeff Tennyson, who ran the program there. We got bought out by Barclays, and then went on, the crash came, went to somewhere small called Mid Island out in New York, stayed there for a little while. Then went on, went to Carrington. Kevin Delory and I, if you don't know, obviously, we went to Carrington and led Carrington for about 8 years before coming over here to, meet with Eddie and join the organization here in 2021. But we was account executives that for a while. The first 6-7 years of our career was account executives, leader in the account executive area, and then started to gain a following. We moved, we picked up onesie twosies here that would follow us as account executives and gain our trust. And then sooner or later, we kind of pushed into leadership as we went on to Carrington. It was like, wow, we got a group of 7 or 8 guys, now 10 guys that trusted us with their life, with their family and their income, and they continue to grow. And we did some great things at Carrington, and then, brought that over here to EPM in 2021, where we led this company now from a smaller, what we did about $200 million to now about $450 million over time, and still growing. So it's been a hell of a journey, honestly. I enjoy leadership. I enjoy sales. I'm a sales guy to the bone. I still jump in the trenches every day. I tell account executives, get me on calls with broker shops, get me on calls with sellers. I love to have those conversations and overcome objectives and get people to, use us and trust us with their loans.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. What a story. What a career you've had. New Century, man. I haven't heard that name in a while. That was the days of remember the implode meter that they had? Yeah. So you guys, you younger people listening to this, I'm going to tell you, boy, we used to log in. We come in and log into the see who was closing their doors. And so you never knew if the loan that you might have had with New Century was not going to close, or,
Right.
or close on the day of funding. And it happened. It was a real thing. So
I was fortunate enough to avoid that implode meter. Kevin and I left just before they closed the doors, fortunately, and moved on to Equifirst. So we missed the actual implode, but we felt it coming.
Yeah. It was great. That's back in if you had a pulse, we could get you approved days. So
yeah, if you could fog a glass, you got a loan. It was was very it was a challenging time at the end of it, but it was a fun time. If you went through the run.
That's awesome, man. So share with the audience, like, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned early on, right, that still guide your leadership and how you view things in our business today?
I think, one of the things I learned as account executive, as sales individual, and some things I stress to the sales team today is, it's really about your team, your back office. You could be the greatest salesperson in the world. If you don't have the support for your team and you don't support your team, you lose. I remember when I was a young account executive and I was doing well, climbing the ladder as far as the ranks and funded volume. And I had ran into a company called Destiny Mortgage out of New Jersey, great owner. And, I blamed, he said, this loans are going bad. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing everything I can, but my back office was terrible. And he told me, and he said, Kenny, if you don't trust your back office, you're saying that terrible. Why would I send you another loan? The guy never sent me another loan. Probably one of the biggest lessons that I learned. I was like, you know what? It's really not about you. It's really about the team. It's about the support system. And I pushed that story out to everyone that I talked to as far as a salesperson and say, listen, man, regardless of how bad you're doing on the operation side, you're only as good as your back office. Only good as you believe in what they do. There's always going to be tough times. There's always going to be, rocky roads. There's no perfect lender out there. So stick through it, support them, always give them the benefit of the doubt. And what happens inside your house is inside your house. You don't bring that outside.
And that relates so well with what loan officers do, or the leadership that's, whether you're a broker owner or you've got loan officers under you, you've got to have that level of leadership and transparency and that support because they're out there representing, and so it's a reflection on on who's under you, right?
Right.
So it's so important. And so if you're listening to this and you think like that's a great example of what I think a lot of loan officers sometimes face in this industry. And so I think it's an important point to bring up.
No, and I think that's, it's critical that as a leader, you be true and transparent, right? And let them know what's going on, whether it's operational or sales or price or whatever it may be, that you got to give them the tools to succeed, right? If they don't have the information, they can't give the information. So it works both ways. They got to support and sell the back office and sell the company, but they also need the ammunition and tools so they can actually be transparent and give them the true story and not, make up something that may not be true and they can always fall fat in their face later on.
That's it. It's so funny because it's like loan officers, realtors will treat you ugly sometimes, right? Like they'll come after you and they're really hard. And then how realtors have treated loan officers sometimes do that with lender partners.
Right.
And I'm like, man, why y'all doing that? And then, my position with AIME, man, I've had to get involved with a lot of these transactions. I'm going to tell you, man, 95% of the time it's the originator or someone on the teams or the staffs. It didn't do what they were supposed to do to get to where they're trying to get or trying to be. And that's so important to bring up because no one ever talks about it, Kenny. No one talks about that.
Right. And the thing is, no one wants to take blame and ownership. Right.
Yeah.
And then it just flows downhill. So when you approach these relationships, whether it's a realtor partner or a loan officer or a lender, you always got to remember you're on the same team, right? Protect each other, be honest. Usually loan officer blames lender, the loan officer blames the realtor. They never take the ownership, right? And it's okay. There's nothing that we can't fix if we're honest and transparent. You're talking about days of the transaction. So if we got to pick up the ball, if we're a true partner and you say, hey, Kenny, I dropped the ball on this.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I can to pick up that slack on my side.
That's it.
But once you damage my reputation, saying that, hey, you may have slipped on it, but you damage my reputation by saying it's a lender, he's not going to trust me as a lender. And he'll say, guess what? Don't send any more loans to EPM or whatever lender's out there, even though it wasn't our fault. So we just got to be transparent. These are long-term relationships. These aren't transactions, and I think that's what you got to keep in mind.
Yeah, I agree. What would you tell a loan officer who hasn't learned the skill set to manage proper expectations?
That's just honesty. Managing expectations is being transparent. This is the lender's turn times. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Obviously you want to make the sale. The biggest thing is for them to get you to trust it. So you want to be the fastest, the cheapest. If you're not, it's okay.
Yeah.
Only one person can have the best price. Only one person can have the fastest turn time. So you got to be honest and say, hey, I got a trusted partner on either side, whether it's a realtor or a lender, or, and say, this is my trusted partner. Trust me, we will get the loan done in time by X amount of dates. If not, there must be a hiccup. We either want to borrow the transaction, but I've had success rates higher than any other lender that I partner with or realtor that I partnered with.
Yeah, I love that. I always say, man, like the longer you wait to deliver bad news, the more credibility you lose,
Right.
And I think that a lot of loan officers are just so afraid to deliver that bad news because they think it's going to be a reflection on them as an originator. And a lot of times it's just circumstantial. It's like things that could have easily been, resolved or just communicated and explained. It's that simple.
Listen, Kevin Deloy always said, bad news is the dish best served hot.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's a fact. The longer you delay, the hairier it gets. You turn a small fire into an inferno, and it just creates problems down the road.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think that EPM has always had this strong culture. At least that's what I see, on the outside looking in. And it's a strong culture around empowerment and transparency, much like you spoke today. How did that philosophy come to be so integrated with you guys?
I think, it's the way Eddie runs the organization. Eddie runs the organizations. I always tell him, like the general manager of a sports team, he puts people in a position to win, and they gives them the boundaries to do what they feel they need to succeed. He puts, and I think that's where we found success. So we got Phil in capital markets and investments. We got Chris Garding, chief operating officer, myself in sales. Even though we collaborate, we have our own lane, and Eddie lets us call our own plays. So he empowers us to go out there, find information, put our players underneath us in a position to succeed. And then obviously he has guidance above that, but it's not like it's, you know, him managing on a daily basis or micromanaging. He trusts in what we do, trusts in our expertise and our experience. I think that builds the culture and lets us flourish, because guess what? We don't feel like, hey, if we make a mistake, game over. He wants us to make mistakes. He knows that we'll learn from those mistakes. And that pushes all the way down to the ground level. We give everyone a lot of autonomy in this organization to go out and find the best way, the best path. And we also listen to what we do. We do a lot of one-on-ones in our organizations, giving feedback. And it's a trust that's built over time. And I think the culture here is so thick. I tell you, it's probably the best culture it is the best culture that I've ever worked in.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to switch gears, and I may come back to culture in a minute, but I'm going to switch gears for a minute because it just came to me. What do you think that EPM is best known for in the industry, or what direction do you guys think you're going to go toward? And like, who's your avatar as a lender or a consumer? Like, what type of business do you want? Because I think sometimes you guys get labeled as, well, you only seen your lower credit scores there. And I know for a fact that that's not the reality. You guys do a lot of A-paper loans, and you got a lot of other things going on too. Why don't you share a little bit about that? Because I think that it just gets lost in translation sometimes.
No, it's a great question and a great time. I think this is a time when we're transitioning out of that stigma of, being the lender for tough loans.
Yeah.
Now, I've been here for 4 years. We've had our hiccups like any other company with service levels. We've kind of built ourselves on those tougher loans. And, some of the individuals that we hired really were proficient in lower FICO scores, referral eligibles, things of that nature. And we took them in, and we still want them. But we also proven ourselves in the industry that we can service any type of loan. And if you can service a loan under 640, you can service any loan. So we're priced competitively above 640. Our turn times are 1 day. We had 40% of our loans same day approval. So, we're delivering the service that every broker and every LO needs. It's just giving us now a chance, actually, just giving us an opportunity to, look at us for different loans. And we're trying to move that through. We're changing our marketing platform. We've got very price aggressive on loans over 680 FICO score to help us out and give you guys an opportunity to give us a chance. But there's not a loan that we can't do. And we're one of the few lenders that say that.
Man, I love that, because we need more good lenders. And you know what, man, I like to work with people that I just enjoy being around, like, know, and trust, obviously. But I love that you said that, because I do think that has been, someone that's been the reality for some people, especially, if you've been in the broker world for quite some time. And if you're listening to this, I'm just going to tell you, man, he used the word opportunity. And I'm telling you, if you are not using EPM in your pricing, whatever LOS that you're using, I want you to start adding EPM every time and start pricing them out on all of these loans. And listen, give them an opportunity to send them some business, because I think, to your point, Kenny, you guys have really turned. It's not that it was bad; it's different, and
Right.
you guys have turned in a direction to be seen a little differently. And I think that's positive affirmations that you guys have got bigger aspirations to do more and better, and still be able to service those lower FICOs, but at the same time, don't just send them the lower FICO, send them your good stuff too. Give them an opportunity, let them prove to you that they can get it, to the closing table, same day close. I mean, I don't even need dang same day approval. You know what I'm saying? I don't need it, but I mean, if I get it, okay, but no one really needs it. But it's nice to know that it's just like, okay, great, I appreciate your customer service.
I think in a refi market, it's, the faster you get the approval, get that borrower off the sideline. I think that's kind of, something that's going to help you as a loan officer. But we're here to earn it. I think that's the difference. We're not asking to say, hey, just give us a shot. I think we've earned it with our service levels and our price and what we've contributed to the broker community, that, hey, we will do your tough loans. We will help you out with those, but, also look at us for different things. And I think we've been compared for a long time to the big box lenders out who won't do the tough loans, but they compare our service when, a tough loan needs a little
Yeah,
bit more explanation, a little bit more handheld.
sure.
So that process and that cycle time is going to be a little bit more extended than, hey, an A paper loan, 680 FICO score that runs through the system freely. So we have both. We have automated underwriting to go take those easy loans and push them through the system, while we have the manual underwriters who can actually look at those loans. So yeah, we
Yeah.
just want a fair competitive analysis between what we do and what they do, and put us on the same page on the loans that they do as well.
Yeah. And, I just had a meeting with my team just Monday, and I said, hey guys, one of the things I want to do is start seeing, more business to EPM. We used to send you guys a lot more than what we do. And I don't do a lot of loans, but I mean, I'm good for 12 to 15 every single month. I'm not doing what I used to do, but I'm, it's a different market. I have a different, business model than what I used to have. And so I share that because opportunity matters. And again, and it kind of goes into my next question. I just like working with people that I like, Kenny. That's
Right.
it. End of story. People that I know and I can go talk to and things like
Sure.
that. And I think it's important. But a lot of companies talk about culture, but few live it. So what are some of the few practical things you do at EPM to make that culture a reality?
It's like a family environment. And our culture is not just internally, it's externally. We're really about experiences. I think that's the key.
Mhm.
If you look at what we do externally with our broker partners, we take them on experiences, whether it's concerts, wine tastings, things where we share not intimate moments, but intimate moments with individuals to kind of really learn about you. The business will come, right? The business will come, like to your point. If you're doing business with someone you like, it's easier. So we make sure that internally we share experiences. We do a lot, like I said, the one-on-ones in our culture, in group settings, in meetings, in floor meetings where we huddle up. I think that's the key. I think people in the industry, in our organization, always feel heard, always feel appreciated. And I think our brokers that are true partners and send us a lion's share of their business feel the same way. They
Yeah.
feel the same way. And I think more than just, hey, you owe me, you're only sending me 20% of your business. It's really about, hey, how you doing? How's things? What's going on in your world? And like I said, we let the business flow naturally. We want, like I said, earning it is price, speed, things of that nature, but nothing replaces the friendship. And to your point, doing
Yeah.
business who you want to do business with.
Well, you're doing it through culture and friendships and
Right.
real grassroots. Like it's great. And I think that the, big event that you guys put on every year is a testament to that. And it's like, Kenny, you're not talking out of your backside. Like this is how you guys really are. And I freaking love it because it's rare. I don't see that much. And I've always appreciated Eddie's and y'all's, generosity in that way. Right. And I remember when we were at Tag this past year, it was day two. It was early in the morning. I was in there and I thought, man, Eddie spent EPM. Y'all spending a tremendous amount of money. You invested a tremendous amount of money into the broker community. And I look up and there's 30 people in the room early that morning.
Right.
Now, I know Eddie throws a good party. I get it, man. And I was there, but I had enough respect to get up the next morning and be there. And I just thought in that moment, I thought, man, I remember calling Eddie saying, hey, man, I want to apologize on behalf of the broker community because everyone should be in that room the next day. Right.
Right.
And I just thought it was light. But he says, well, I kind of throw a good party. I was like, yeah, you do. And so,
Right.
so you guys do that. And I know that
And I
the
think, yeah,
concerts and stuff's important. I just love it. And I
it
appreciate
is.
it. So
It is, and we know, and it's lesson learned, right? We know the industry, we know how we are, and Eddie does throw a good party. So we hung out kind of late. Going forward, we'll probably start around 10. I was on the stage 8 o'clock in the morning waiting for the people
yeah,
to show
you
up as
are.
well. So I was in the opening act that day, and but I made it. I had to make it. But yeah, we learned from our lesson. Like, hey, maybe it's a 10:30, 11:30 start that morning. But we want everyone to enjoy themselves. We put everyone on stage. We put competitors on stage, all different walks of life, brokers and experiences. So, we want to share that opportunity so people can have that experience and take some of that footage and, lessons they've learned and bring it back home.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, dude. So mate, let's get a little personal for a second. What, like, dude, and by the way, when you were at Tag, dude, you were dressed to the nines. So I was saying, dang, man, I underdressed today. So,
That might be old guard. So I gotta ease it back a little bit. Like,
yeah,
Eddie's a little t-shirt maybe and
yeah,
some
yeah,
blazer and
yeah.
jeans. So
It was
that was a
good.
little old guardish, but I was comfortable.
Yeah, it's good, man. Well, I want to know, like, what drives you, man, like personally, like what's your why behind everything that you do at EPM?
It's, I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to the organization. I have a responsibility to Eddie. I have a responsibility to my peers. Phil, Chris, and everybody that works for me and under me, or with me, I should say, because I don't think anyone works for me. Everyone works with me. And then I also have responsibility to my family, and people that I've, invested their time in me, mentors, things of that nature. So I wake up with a chip on my shoulder every day to make sure that I deliver, because I don't want to disappoint anyone. Anyone that falls underneath that umbrella, well, it's my mother, my son, Eddie, Phil, Chris, Jenna, whatever it is. Like, I want to make sure that, hey, when they think about me, they know I'm giving 110%. And I know that these guys on the floor that are out here selling for me know that, hey, I have their back, and I'm gonna put them in the best position to win. So, I'll work around the clock if I have to ensure that everyone has trust that, hey, if there's an opportunity, he's going to go after it. If there's something to push them to the next level, he's going to do it. And they'll never have to worry about me being asleep at the wheel, because I'm always going to try to be in control and make sure I deliver.
Yeah, that's good. Without question, that's good. That's actually great leadership. And so I think it definitely shows through, just the things that you guys, have. So,
and I've come from a humble beginnings. I was born in, unfortunately, the projects in Providence, Rhode Island. So I have a fear of going back also to that. It pushes me every single day. I watch my parents struggle through, bills and collections and everything else, put me through college, putting me through, private school. So there's a respect there that, hey, you know what, people came a long way for me, and I got to make sure that I live up to it.
Yeah, I came from a similar background. So it's crazy. I always say too, man, like if you took someone from a third world country and brought them to America and they had two nickels to rub together, or not even two nickels to rub together, those guys always seem to become multimillionaires. Give them 20 or 30 years and they put in the work. They do what's required. They don't just expect it to fall on their lap without having to do work.
I watched my father go out and work in a factory, and, his goal was to make more money than his manager. His manager made 50 grand. And my father would be up at 4:30 every day, come home 4:30 in the afternoon for barely nothing, what we make in this industry. So I know that, hey, what we doing, we're blessed to make. And I respect the journey. I respect the process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I've got a lot of retail friends, and I love retail. I was lived in it for almost 10 years. It served its purpose. I think after, Dodd-Frank, I've kind of felt like retail scared you into retail. See, CFPB was rolling out. We didn't know what was what, right? And so everyone, I was the last of the Mohicans, man, in the broker world. I mean, we went from, plus 50% to like 5%, and it was nuts. And I was like, man, I guess I'll go to the retail community. And so I have a lot of retail friends, and they always ask me, hey, KT, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? And I continue to tell them how it's going. Right. What would you tell someone? And this isn't, I'm not here to bash retail, but they serve their purpose, I guess. But if you were speaking to someone in retail and they were considering coming to the wholesale channel and becoming a broker, what advice would you give them, or what would you say? Because there's a lot of myths out there around making that transition and how horrible it is. And sometimes I think that's just retail still trying to scare them to staying into retail. Right. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, the wholesale community is a totally different community. And it's a true community, right? You have, from a broker standpoint, from a lender standpoint, you truly, if you're a true broker, and I say that in quotes, in air quotes, you have the borrower's best interest at heart. You have the ability to shop and find the best deal, to put that borrower in the best position for his family to succeed in life and gain equity. I think from a retail standpoint, you're kind of trapped. You're kind of trapped into a certain situation in which you can actually offer them. So obviously the upside is, if your heart is in helping people, truly helping people, and this is, not to be sentimental, I think that's why the brokers love what they do, not like what they do, and it's not a career, right? I think it's really fulfilling to be a broker. And, and if you're a broker and you're only sending your business to one person, then that's not really, you're doing what retail does. You're doing a retail job in a broker world. So, finding the best fit and the best opportunity for a client and loving to do it and put people in a position that their family could never be in. I think that's the joy of being a broker and being in the wholesale side. Yeah, it was in the wholesale world. So
yeah, all good. That's awesome, man. That's such a, I don't like getting wrapped up in that car. I was up to disarm my retail friends, it's like, hey, man, put gun down, bro. It's good. That's such a good answer. And I think that,
knock it. It's a different experience. That's all.
It's a different experience.
It is what it is. Yeah.
I just think that, in today's broker community, I think technology has really leveled the playing field for everyone, because back in the day, it was a lot more difficult, and it was a lot more difficult to scale because you had 5 different lenders you're doing business with 5 different processes, with 5 different technologies, and they were
Right.
clunky and limited. And now I feel like our technology is substantially better than a lot of retail shops. That's what I believe. I think our opportunity is bigger. I think our options are better. I feel like a customer again,
Right.
you know, and not just an employee. And so there's a lot of benefits to it, but I always like to ask that question. So I appreciate you answering it the way that
No.
you did. And I think that was fair and honest and very respectful. All right. So in closing, okay, I'm going to close with this. What's the one thing? So for you guys that are listening, Kenny, your best friend passed away. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was very well known in our industry, somebody that I was starting to get to know as well. Obviously, not at your level. Y'all had years together. What do you think that you're going to do, right? That that would make him proud? What's the thing? What's the one thing you're going to carry on that you've learned from Kevin, and you just know in your heart of hearts, man, that it's in the back of your mind. It's like, dude, I'm doing that. I'm doing this because I know Kevin would look down upon me and be like, you know, you did well, brother. You know what I'm saying? What would
Yeah.
that be for you?
For me, I think it's he always wanted to be the biggest, and I think growing this thing out to the next level. I think, and I believe in our career, we've continued to grow and grow and grow and grow personally, and in business. But I think that he wanted to crack the top 5, and I think that's something I got to carry out. I think that's the key. And always remember, he said, "Eat, lead is eat last." If I can remember that, I think we'll get there.
That's what I like. I love that, dude. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, guys, if this hit home, share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with your retail friend, share it with anyone you think would be moved by this. If you're looking for a new lender to do business with, right? Give EPM a hand. Like, just reach out, get signed up. I'm telling you, the leadership there is phenomenal. The relationships are phenomenal. I know I'm going to be sending a lot more business to you guys, and I hope that more of you do as well. Kenny, thank you for your time today. You're the man. I appreciate your knowledge and just the way you deliver it, dude. You're just the man, dude. I don't know.
Appreciate it, brother. This was great. And, like I said, we're not perfect. No one is, but just give it an opportunity.
Yes, yes, sir. I appreciate that. Let's go.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.